I want to talk about this case right here. This particular personal injury court is called. This particular case, you see these two boys up here. I'm gonna take it what it is about. These two senior prep school students. One on the right has a messed up face. He got injured because he shook a vending machine and it fell on him. And they're trying to get money from the school because it fell on him. My problem with this case is the judge. He wasn't full value of their case solely because they didn't latch it down in a timely manner. It was fairly new. They were going to latch it down. They had plans on doing it. Sometimes it doesn't. The idea of a plan to do it requires you to do it in a timely manner, more than not in a week, but more than like a few days after installing it. But the thing about vending machines is it takes a lot of force to push a vending machine off its hinges, push a vending machine to a point where it falls over on top of you. Which means that if it falls on you, it's your fault. Okay? They should have a sign that says, don't do nothing dumb unless you want to get injured. But anyway, I'll play a little bit of the first part and then I'm going to play just the part that's a real big problem with. Actually, we're going
to... using all of his might, seriously. He gets a little bit more of a shake, as you can tell, with this kind of motion. And then it topples on top of him.
Well, people do some crazy things with vending machines.
And what were the consequences?
Well, I didn't see any of them get the machine on top of them and destroy their face.
I don't feel like it's our fault because it was Jason's actions that caused this machine to topple over.
He didn't attack
Jason.
Now that we got the argument out the way, so we know what happened. He shook the machine, it fell on him. Her defense is he don't like the fact, let me tell you something, he don't like the fact that she says that the child or the teenager who's almost grown, he hates that fact that the school administration there says that they should take more responsibility in their own action, which is true. They are not children, they're not 5, they are freaking almost grown as men. Okay, if they were 5, it makes sense. But we're not dealing with 5-year-olds. We're dealing with 17, almost 18-year-old kids. I'm not even calling kids, teenagers. Who, if they're old enough to have sex at their age, they're old enough to know better. Okay, I don't care what your personal background is, whether you are a twin or not a twin. You must follow the law as it is, not based off your own personal experience. But I'm going to skip to the point where I
thought I saw my brother die.
It needed to be tethered to the wall.
I still feel that that machine needed that force, that pushing and pulling, to knock it over.
In every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove 3 things. The plaintiff has to prove that the defendant was wrong and that the defendant's wrong caused your harm. My analysis is whether Carrington Prep is responsible for your injuries. Here you've put up evidence that you and your brother, your sons, finished with basketball practice, going into the student lounge, gonna get a drink. The machine is not cooperating as much as you want. You start to shake it, it falls on you and injures you pretty badly. And you believe that Carrington Prep should pay for every bit.
Now, I'm going to stop right here just because I'm going to pause it every few seconds to make comments on his stupid judgment. You don't understand why I'm angry with this Judge Gino Brogdon fella. Because even after hearing the expert explain to him that it takes a lot of force for someone to push over that machine, even if it was or wasn't tethered to the wall, where in the law says that they are responsible for someone else's negligence? Make the limiter is this: unless there is a option in the law that says that every vending machine must be tethered down to the wall in a schoolyard. There is room for negotiations, responsibility. Yes, they have responsibility to do what is right, but they're not freaking mind readers. Who would have guessed that not every... I don't know a lot of kids who go around shaking vending machines with the possibility of it falling on them. Everybody has that in the back of their mind. I mean, unless you're freaking brain dead, everybody has that in their mind. This man treats kids as though they're stupid, and they're not. Okay, these people are supposed to be so-called top of their class brain scientists, but yet couldn't figure out not to shake a machine that it might fall on them. I don't understand this. You can't have your cookie and eat it too. Well, you can't say they're bright, and then when they make a stupid, they say they're stupid, and should never be expected to do what is rational in any rational person's mind. It doesn't matter what they feel. It's about what is rational and reasonable in the mind. It is if you put your finger in a light switch, you know you're gonna get electrocuted. By now, you know that's right. You don't know how you know that. It's because, let me show you, explain to you. You did it by trial and error. You put your finger in the light socket and you electrocute yourself, and you don't have the consequences of your actions. There's people like this fella and their mama that keep people from learning their responsible behavior. Let's continue.
Of what you're asking this court to award you. Ms. Watson, you're here to represent Carrington Prep. And while your heart goes out to this young man and this family for these injuries, you believe that if he hadn't been rocking the machine, y'all would have never met me here today. And as hard as it sounds, you believe these injuries are his fault and Carrington Prep shouldn't be responsible. This is a classic premises liability case. You have a certain responsibility to care for yourself. Carrington Prep has a responsibility under law to take reasonable measures.
You hear what he said it first out of his mouth, right? People have responsibilities with their own selves for both parties, but watch what his ruling on this case is
to make sure that the property is safe. Now, part of that responsibility to take reasonable measures is to anticipate likely harm or risk. Here, you all had actual notice that these machines could fall. That's why you had a plan to tether them to the wall. Under the law, you have actual notice of this potential harm. The other thing that adds to that notice is you're dealing with 17-year-old high school students. If these were fifth graders or second graders, no, they're not going to fool with the machines. 17-year-old boys do, and you all are in the business of nurturing 17-year-old boys. The law charges you with that kind of knowledge. So here, with that knowledge, you should have tethered the machine to the wall. So I find that you have proven that Carrington Prep was wrong, and that wrong caused your injuries. So I'm going to award to you $350,000 I find in your favor and against Carrington Prep. That's my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
All right. If you saw that, people. I don't know, people might have mixed opinions, but as you saw that, you're going, that might be. As you saw that, I think this is what I'm talking about, judges. Sometimes judges' decisions can irritate you because they say things double talk. Like, first, you know how you just saw it, you hurry for your own lips and you watch the whole episode on YouTube. But the fact of the matter is this. The ruling was stupid. Now, let's be fair. The ruling should have been on the measurement of negligence, not on. It is a measurable negligence case, not a premise case. Who was more negligible in this situation? Doesn't matter who you're dealing with, whether you're dealing with a minor or anything. The law is based on negligence when it comes to injury cases. Who was more negligent in their actions? The school or the person who got injured? Here's 3 basic questions I would ask myself. 1, would that vending machine have any defect in it that would cause it to fall over without any assisted help or bare minimum help? Did it have a defected leg to cause it to be easily wobbly? Was it wobbly? Was it made easy to rock with little effort that would cause it to make fall over and hurt someone walking by? Would it fall over? Would it be easy to fall over if somebody was trying to reach in to grab an item? None of these cases are true. Then you must ask yourself the second question. Did the person's actions cause his own injury? Whether shaking a heavy machine. Let's say this machine wasn't in a school, but on the side of the road. And he did the exact same thing there. Who would be responsible then? Not every vending machine is bolted to the... I mean, nowadays probably are because of stupidity. But I'm just saying there are a lot of dumbasses around here who do dumb stuff. End up getting hurt themselves. But why should everybody else pay for their own stupidity? I don't like the idea of rewarding foolish behavior. I just don't. It annoys me. Why are we rewarding foolish behavior with money? Okay, person. The person robs Peter to pay Paul. Okay, let me tell you something. I don't like the case because he's rewarding foolish behavior. The thing is, he said this is the thing problem with judges. They don't judge. Some of them don't judge unbiasedly. For real. If you think there's some judges that don't have biases, you on drugs. As long as the humans involved, there's always gonna be a bias. If he was a real unbiased judge, he would judge more fairer than that. First of all, it was his own action that caused the vending machine to fall on him. He shouldn't have got that much money. Maybe half. I would give him half his money. Only on principle that the vending machine wasn't secure enough. But the question I'm asking here, and this is a very important question, what would he have done if the vending machine was tethered to the wall? Done the first thing he should have done in the first place. Going over there and found somebody to get the stuff or whatever. What the big reason why he chose it because it wasn't tethered to the wall. So he went up out of the machine. He got stuck. He thought of shaking it. Kind of gave me notice never to shake a vending machine because it might fall on you. You know, but here's my other biggest problem based on my own personal experience, which irritates me. Anybody with a brain cell lighter than a net would know not to shake a vending machine because the possibility of it falling on you is high. Maybe high. Anybody with a brain cell, okay? This guy is not a stupid person, okay? If you talking about he might get or not, some kids, they may not be, but they're not bright kids either. They're not very bright. You brag and you brag about how smart and academically sound your kids is, but they couldn't be academically sound not to push on a vending machine. Vending machines aren't going around topping over people for no reason. I'm just saying, even if it was defected, it's not gonna, unless it was severely defected, the legs were severely malfunctioned and it was wobbly and a light but not minor brush would cause it to fall on somebody. You might have a case. But fact of the matter is that's not what happened. The vending machine didn't just randomly magically fall on somebody. It fell because of the person who got injured fault actions, period. We are there to take care of kids, yes, but the fact of the matter is this. Why should we have to teach dummies not to push on vending machines? Mm? How do you teach kids if you're not willing to give them the responsibility to want to reward bad behavior for stupid? What are you gonna do when the next vending machine comes and it falls on them again? What are you gonna see then? You the one edgy, freaking rewarding stupid behavior. You know what? It's a spiritual reason for this anger. You don't understand. This understanding, let me explain, it'll be very clear to you. The Bible says you don't reward bad behavior. You don't reward people for bad behavior. Now, bad behavior may not be somebody but like doing something negligent, like causing your own injury or putting your finger in the light switch. You don't reward bad behavior. That's what we call bad. Putting your finger in the light switch and getting electrocuted is bad behavior because you should have known better. You may not have known better now, but now you do. But I'm not going to reward you for it by giving you money for putting your finger in that light switch. What the judge did was reward bad behavior with money because of his own personal bias. That's what he did. The reason why I said the more fair thing to do is to give them enough money to pay off their medical bills, for that matter. Simply because they were slightly negligent, not completely negligent. The fact that they didn't put everything to the floor enough time is not a thing that means they're completely responsible for the stupidity of the kid. Okay, the teenage, almost grown-ass boy. This not a junior, this not a freaking freshman, this freaking senior. He almost high school, about to go to college. If you don't learn responsibility by then, there's something wrong. But, I'm so messed off. That's why I can't watch the show no more. I'm sorry. I refuse to watch Personal Injury Court anymore. I know the Greek love me, but I don't like that judge. The judge is so biased. It's not even funny. I know. It's not about you and your personal opinion or your personal opinion. It's about the law. It does not dictate they have to tether it to the wall. Unless you got a law that says they have to tether it to the wall or be responsible for the damage it may cause if it does. You can interpret the law where they see fit. I guess you can because you're a judge now. That's the problem. You can get power and magically interpreting the law the way they wish to. Like, that's not in the law. Okay. What we have is a negligence case. All injuries are based off of negligence, not the premise. It's negligence. Premise. Let me tell you the premise of it. If the kid shook the thing, it fell on him, it's his fault. That's the premise. Doesn't matter what. If he's old enough to know better, probably the mama know. You shouldn't shake your machine because it would fall on you. If you don't know, and never had nothing to fall on them because they didn't shake enough. But I guarantee you, if they did and it fell on them, it would be their own fault. Because you never seen it happen, doesn't mean it doesn't. There are a lot of machines that are not tethered to the ground or tethered to the wall, especially ones that are sitting outside. They're not tethered down to the ground. Or if you push or pull them hard enough, it takes actually many machines now are heavier, so now it takes a lot more effort. So now if you do, it does fall on you, it's your own fault. But I don't know how heavy this machine was. It must not be as heavy as ones that are outside. But the matter is this. She made valid, good points. It doesn't matter what your opinion. It make valid, good points. But any rational person at that age should have known It's basic common sense. I'm so sick and tired of this boys will be boys kind of argument where kids, minors will be teenagers. This is why kids go out and do stupid stuff like do drugs. And because of stupid judges like this, they don't take responsibility at all. They go out there and break the law, and then the judge be like, "Oh my goodness, they're teenagers. You just slap them in the wrist and let them be on the way, and they go out and do exactly the same thing again and multiple times because they don't learn the lesson the first time." Oh my goodness. I do believe it's exaggerated a little bit, but yet he messed up his face by his own actions. The mama's not really doing anything, teaching me responsibility. Treats them like they don't never do nothing wrong, which is illogical. They're good little boys. I'm pretty sure they're decent people. Kids that don't do the best they can. But they're not innocent people who don't, innocent little boys who don't do nothing wrong. Obviously, he did something wrong. He's obviously getting rewarded for doing something wrong. And he messed his face up. Now, I'm thinking the argument was that he barely checked it and it fell on him. And what I'm thinking, my thinking is this: what he's trying to explain. Man, that he barely shook it. He was like the shaking hand, just top it over from like shaking. Like he shook it, give it to us, get out. But if it didn't begin to shake the first time, that means you need to go call that number. Oh, did he actually get the food he wanted? After it fell on him? No, he didn't want the food no more, did he? No, he still didn't get that food. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. I feel sorry for the boy. But I wouldn't have given him nothing more than what. I wouldn't have given him no pain and suffering because he don't deserve it. The best way to teach him a lesson is not to give him any money, okay? Or give him, penalize him through the money, through the court case. He gets half the money he would have asked for based off his own negligence. I know it sounds tough, but we got. No, it's not like he slipped and fell in the school, or he got injured by no fault of his own, or do some negligence at school, per se, completely. I still say this is a negligent case, and they're 20% negligent because they didn't tether to the wall in enough time. Maybe the same, if they would have tethered to the wall the same day they put it in, it would make more, that would make more sense. But then again, they were replacing the vending machine, so technically speaking, they didn't take time. Things take time to do. Things take time, and the fact that they're making improvements to the school, it takes time to get around to certain things. They're supposed to be minors and anticipate stupid behavior. I don't understand it. I don't remember rewarding terrible behavior for predicting stupid behavior. You're supposed to anticipate your kid, stupid kids, being stupid. Oh, I'm sorry. We thought people had brain cells. No, because probably lost a case. Knowing these types of judges, you probably reward them anyway out of spite, because that's what they do. You can't argue with the judge or be with his reasoning, because they'll just reward the other party just out of spite, even if they weren't responsible. That's what you gotta be careful for. Don't go on TV. Don't go on TV. Some of the TV judges don't go on. Especially you gotta watch them. You gotta watch some of these freaking judge shows and see how they rule, if they rule fairly or not. Because some of them are jokes. Okay. I think the fairest judge on TV would be Judge Judy sometimes. She's a little dude up in color. She's got, I don't think she's like that in real life. If you ever heard her, sat down with her, in private off TV. She talks totally different than she does it. I think the producers have her talk like that for TV ratings. I don't think if she was in the courtroom without cameras, without the producers, she'd probably judge like that. It's because of the TV and the producers that she judges the way she does operate. I do think she doesn't take hearsay. She's more stricter on that than most of the other TV judges. She wants to hear what you say, not want to hear nobody else say what everybody else says unless you have written out on paper. That's the only time she might consider it, is if it's written down on a certified letter. Yeah, that's a given. I think she already looks at it before time, so she looks at everything before she gets up there, so she knows, Tina much knows what's going on already. She must hear out there to explain directly, but but I think what she does is she already knows about the witness testimony already, and she doesn't want to hear that. She still want to hear what they say because she already read what the evidence, see what matches up with what they're saying on the stand. But Judge Mathis is alright, I guess, sometimes. Sometimes I don't agree with some of the stuff he be doing. He'll be ruling in people's favor. He'll be, let's just say, he's kind of iffy on those lying, because if he was that strict as he wants to be on perjury, a lot of people's cases would be dismissed. But every now and then he'll dismiss people's cases because he's annoyed with them at the time, and it's obvious. He'll dismiss because of perjury, just because he get annoyed with him. I don't like it when shows get too political. Even court shows. The court show had no business being political. First, we're supposed to be objective. It's the whole point of court is to be objective, not get into issues like politics. Breonna Taylor's case was operated within legal. We ain't gonna go in there. We ain't gonna go into that or get into Kentucky law. Their law in their state. Their law in their state is different than every law in every other state. Okay, certain states have different laws and different things that protect certain people. Certain situations. Not every law is generalized. People forget that every state is governed by a mayor, by its own mayor, its own local government that has their own different laws, and not governed by all federal government. Everything doesn't cover everything. But they forget that. But anyway, we're talking about personal injury. This particular case, and I think I pretty much covered everything. I just don't like the case. Probably more cases I don't like, and some of the rooms I don't get because it's probably apparent that he does not judge on an objective level. It depends. Sometimes he tries to be too fair. In some cases, it's obviously the other person's fault, but it will split down even though they don't by a percentage. No, that's not how the law works. Yeah, sometimes it depends. It really is supposed to go based on who's more negligent. I mean, it depends. If negligence is minuscule, then technically speaking, can already give him the full claim. If the negligence has to be minor, leakage greater than 20% in order to even bother to think about altering the amount of money that person gets. What I mean is, if the person who is doing negligence is minuscule and has no real bearing on the fact of the case, they don't need to break up the amount of the claim. It makes no difference if the matter still is completely. But if it's crucial or has some dent in the claim, then yes, it would make sense to divide the claim, lower the claim down because of that case. When you have to be major, like a violation of the law or something like that, or just plain personal negligence to a degree. a perfect example. That case with the woman who slipped on ice. She said she was able to get 10 to 15 steps. She didn't win the case because she didn't able to prove that the people she was suing were completely responsible for her slip and fall. Not be able to prove they did, but saying that she was not able to prove beyond enough. And the standard for civil case is not very high, but it's higher for large amounts of money. If you were smuggling for it, she might have won a little bit of money, but because she was asking for a lot more money, the burden is a little bit higher. Then you would have to convince the judge that your injuries were worthy of such degree. It's quite easy to do if you think about it. All you gotta do is provide evidence that you were affected, and then might give you some money. Cause you're hurt. And in your case, in my case, yes, it did. He rear-ended me. But anyway, that's it. That's all I need to do. I need to get off my chest. Just comment below what y'all think about that. Do you think that those kids were responsible? Or do you think that they weren't good for the judge on whether or not the kid was responsible for their injury? The things I want you to keep in mind when thinking about this. Key details. One, they replaced every vending machine. They tempered every one except for that particular one. They were going to temper that one too, so they could temper all three of them at the same time. But they didn't get this action happen before they can do it. You see this always happen every time. I got planned to do it, and all of a sudden, the day you plan on doing it, the day somebody get an accident do it, and it's like, oh my goodness, really? And it's just dumb. Okay, considering the fact that he, the near adult male, I'm calling near because he's like near 18 or he's like 7. He's a senior, so around senior age, however old that is, probably around 17 to 18 years old. Because I was this near grown person who should know responsibility by now, because she bragged about how she raised their kids, but you didn't raise your kids not to do dumb stuff, did you? Okay. Oh, they're good ones. Nobody's saying your kids were bad. They're saying your kids' behavior caused his own injury. Nobody's saying your kids were terrible kids. They're just saying that his behavior at that day, on that day, was negligent. And it was, in my opinion. But, what do you think? Hit that like and subscribe, comment below what you think about the case. Go watch it. And come back. And then watch the full case. I didn't even play it. But make sure to watch the entire case in full. Okay? Get your idea of what you think is right and wrong. And then come and tell me what you think. If you've seen it already, DM Gaming signing up.